Okay, so guys, if you click this video, you're probably trying to figure out one thing: what builds does this game Ragnarok the New World actually have, and which class should I play? So what you're about to see right now is the current in-game builds the game is offering, mainly to help new players like you, like me, to understand how Ragnarok works as MMO. So you can consider these character builds as your starting point, and this is actually what makes Ragnarok different from most MMOs. Ragnarok always have this game freedom. Like, yes, there are classes, but because of stats, cards, and gears and skill interactions, you will never lock into one way of playing your character. Basically, two players can use the same class and still end up with completely different gameplay or builds. Alright, so again, just use this video to get the right vibe for you on which class you will choose. But anyway guys, before we continue, quick words from our sponsor, Future You. Yes, you, the one watching this. So if you're a brand and you want a 20-second shout out in front of MMORPG players, my email is in the description. Okay, so guys, the first class we have is the Priest. So here, as you can see, this is actually the holy DPS build. Like, she can heal, she can use Sanctuary, and also the Holy Light. And obviously this one is effective only against undead and dark monsters. So if you will be farming, you will be farming only on those monsters. So this is actually a very classic Ragnarok idea, like a support class that can still stand on its own. Okay, so next guys is this Battle Priest build. So this one is actually one of the most iconic non-traditional builds in Ragnarok. Like, instead of casting skills, this priest relies on melee auto attacks, self buffs, and sustain. And this build perfectly represents Ragnarok's identity. Like, you can choose a priest class designed for support, but you're not forced into a healer role just because of your class. And next build that we have for priest class is this something like Magnus-type build. So this one leans into a area control and holy burst damage. I know that most of you guys already know this. Magnus skills shines in very specific situations like mob heavy areas and undead zones. And yeah, they exist even here in Ragnarok the New World. So if this was your build before in Ragnarok PC Classic, you can still use it here in Ragnarok the New World. Okay, so guys, next up is our Wizard. So this one is fire magic build. So basically, it's all about elemental manipulation. Well, obviously this build rewards preparation and knowledge about the class. And this is also one of the very classic Ragnarok design. Like, knowing elements matters just as much as learning the raw stats. Okay, so next up is almost same with the previous one, but here the focus shifts to crowd control and burst. So this build highlights how wizards are not just DPS of the game, but they can also have this kind of build that they control the flow of combat. Okay, so guys, next up, this is the cart DPS build. This is also one of the classic build that we saw in Ragnarok Classic PC. Like, the blacksmith is using his cart as his actual weapon. So yeah, it's heavy and very unique to Ragnarok. Like, no other MMO lets you weaponize your cart or your inventory like this. And next one guys in our blacksmith build is this pure physical DPS build. It focuses on raw physical power, like axe, stats, and buffs come together for consistent frontline damage. It's simple on the surface, but I believe you can scale this heavily with gear and cards. And also notice guys that there is this axe spinning around him. So this one is actually one of her AoE skills that is also helpful for farming. And correct me guys if I'm wrong, but in PC Classic, I really don't see this kind of skills in a blacksmith class. So this one seems new here in Ragnarok the New World. Okay, so next up guys, as you can see, this build leans more into summons. So here, she's not really doing just direct damage. Instead, the build focuses on summoning these mini robots, and these robots are the ones attacking the monsters together with you. And because of that, the vibe of this class feels very similar to an alchemist type class or the creator class, I think. Correct me guys if I'm wrong, but you know that class where you summon something like plants or pets and let them help you fight. And before guys, in Ragnarok Eternal Lab, they're actually super OP and painful in PvP. So this one, maybe in the end game, this will be also painful. Yeah, but well, we'll see guys. Okay, so next up guys, we have this classic knight, and for this one I'm not really sure, but this seems like a bowling bash skill and maybe magnum break. So this build focus more on AoE burst physical damage, so it's simple, effective, and this vibe is giving that very true Ragnarok vibe. What do you think? Okay, so next build that we have here for the knight is, again, I'm not sure, but based on what we're seeing here, this is something like fire shield DOT build or damage over time build. So again, this build, instead of doing burst scale like what we have in the previous build, this is more of a damage over time. And then there is this fire shield that maybe punishes enemies for staying close, basically turning defense into offense, or maybe this reflects damage. But whatever it is guys, this builds feel slower but extremely consistent in longer fights. So I think this can be also the tank build of the knight. But anyway guys, if you feel a different vibe for this class, feel free to share in the comment section. Okay, so next up guys is we have this build where our knight seems like throwing his spear. That's why I kind of feel that this is the throw spear build, and that is also one of the classic build that we have in Ragnarok PC, right? So again, this is actually another sample of Ragnarok letting classes break their roles. Like instead of just a knight doing normal slash up sword and spear, he has this kind of throwing skills. Okay, so guys, this one is Assassin, and I believe that this is one of the most favorite of Ragnarok players. We have this Assassin where this build focuses on fast normal attacks, and then this multiple crit damage that you are seeing right now, this is very iconic in Ragnarok. Like when you see this, you can tell right away that this is Ragnarok. Like if you see this on other games, you will say this is Ragnarok inspired. So guys, again, I believe that this is the Assassin fantasy most players recognize instantly. And then guys, we have this something like a hybrid approach, combining consistent auto damage with burst skills like Sonic Blow. I know most of you guys are familiar with Sonic Blow, but here as you can see, it smooths out Assassin gameplay, making it less cooldowns and more about sustained pressure. So this build right here simply shows how mixing systems sometimes work better than just going all in on one idea. Like instead of pure normal attacks, you have this time to time Sonic Blow while doing normal attacks. Okay, so guys, next build for Assassin is we have this something like poison build, and based on what you are seeing here, this is more of a DOT skill again, or damage over time skill. And based on my experience guys, this is actually the slowest Assassin build, but I believe this can be dangerous in the end game. You know, I remember in Ragnarok Eternal Lab before, this poison thing are actually really painful at the end game. So again, as you can see, poison damage stacks over time, rewarding patience and control. I know this is not flashy, but it looks effective in long engagement. So I think in Guild Wars, this might be effective, and this looks really fun to make some build around this one. Like maybe you will be collecting cards that are related to poison thing. So yeah guys, there are so many things to do here in Ragnarok. Okay, so next class guys is we have the Archer, and this one is the most basic one, but actually based on my experience in this game, this one also has the fastest DPS style among Archer builds, and not just actually Archer, but all character builds. Like I can easily clear this instance with this build. So this is an ADL auto attack hunter. So guys, if you don't have yet a class to choose, this one is the ideal, especially for early days. Like this one is actually easy to understand. That's why it's really ideal for new players. And also this is perfect for players who like steady performance. Okay, so guys, after that we have the opposite. So this is the Trapper build, and based on my experience, this is the slowest DPS Archer build. But also you can tell that this is the most tactical. Like maybe at early start this build will struggle, but maybe with the right cards and right gears this will perform better. But I think for this kind of build, this is more ideal to use in guild wars, like traps control space, traps punishes movement, and it rewards preparation. So basically, it's not about reaction speed, it's more about prediction of what your opponents will do. Okay, so next up guys, this is one of the most iconic builds in Ragnarok PC, the Falcon build, guys. So back in PC, we have something like Blitzer and I forgot the other Falcon thing. So this build feels kind of similar to those build. It focuses only on Falcon's damage, but one big difference here is you will notice that the Falcon is actually using skills to deal damage to enemies. In the old PC version, the Falcon itself was the one attacking. So basically, this is a new take on the Falcon build, and honestly, it looks pretty fun to experience. But how about you guys? What do you think about this new version of the Falcon build? Like, it has skills. So feel free to comment down below, guys. Okay, so guys, next up, we have the Gunslinger. This is actually a newer class. Even in Ragnarok PC, it came out much later compared to the other class. So for this class, there are different builds again, and the first one here is the mobile DPS Gunslinger. This build really emphasizes movement, like you can jump instantly in your enemies, but unfortunately guys, I wasn't able to fully show that part here. What you're mostly seeing right now in this footage are the AoE skills, but even with that, this build still looks really fun to play. And guys, our next build here is something like AoE Burst Gunslinger. So as you can see here, this one uses a shotgun and the whole focus is on group damage, like you're dealing big impact hits with large AoE skills that can clear mobs really fast. So guys, what do you think about this one? Okay, so guys, another build that we have here is the Sniper Burst Gunslinger. Basically, you're using a sniper weapon. And just from the weapon itself, you already know that this is not about fast damage. You actually need to cast your skills like you're really playing a sniper. So this build obviously trade speed for big damage, like you commit to longer casts, but when it hits, the damage payoff is actually huge. But of course guys, the opposite is actually also true. Like if you mess up your timing or your positioning, it can be very punishing to you. But again, once you master this one, this build is extremely rewarding for sure. Okay, so next guys, we have this build where you're basically throwing grenades or bombs. That's why I just call this one Bomberman build. But for me, this is one of the most unique builds in the game. Like you're throwing explosives or grenades to the monster. So yeah guys, chaos pretty much defines this playstyle. It's unconventional, but it also looks really fun. And this is actually another perfect example of how Ragnarok lets player be creative and play the game in their own. Okay, so guys, that's all for today. And again, none of these builds are rules. They're just examples of how the game introduces its systems and playstyles. Once you understand everything like stats, cards, and gear, you have the freedom to mix everything. You can even break the builds that the game is offering and redefine everything you've seen here. And that freedom, guys, is why Ragnarok still feels very different in most MMOs, even today. Right, so guys, again, thank you very much for watching and for supporting the channel. I hope this video helped you decide which build or class you want to play. For me, I'm currently leaning towards the simple ADL Hunter build, but honestly, it's still too early for me to fully decide. So let's see which build players will be using more in the mid-game or end-game. But anyway, guys, before we end this video, if you want to learn more about this game, I already made some basic guide videos that explain the bigger picture, and I will make more basic contents, and I believe those video guys will help you understand the game better. So when you start playing this MMO, you won't feel too overwhelmed. Alright, so guys, again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.